Okay, well, hello everyone, welcome back. We're going to continue with the triangular arbitrage, which as you can remember, the triangular arbitrage is the next step after the cross rate. So that's what we are going to do today, triangular arbitrage. So for the triangular arbitrage, there are two steps that we need to know. First, I will give you this data, which is the exchange rate of 3 different currencies. So Mexican peso over dollar, then Polish zloty over dollar, and finally, the Mexican peso over zloty. And the first question that I'm going to ask you is it possible to make triangle arbitrage? Sorry. How can you answer to this question? Well, you can answer to this question by calculating a cross rate. And which cross rate are you going to calculate? Well, you really can calculate any cross rate, maybe 20 over 4, or you can, I don't know, calculate the cross rate between the pesos, dollar, and pesos and zloty over here. But which one do you think is the easiest one to calculate? Well, if you remember from the last video, it's always better if you choose exchange rates that have the same currency at the bottom. So in this case, pesos and zloty. So let's calculate that cross rate. 20 pesos over dollar divided by 4 zloty over dollar. And by doing this, you can eliminate dollars and the answer will be 5 pesos over zloty. How can you answer to this question if you can make arbitrage? Well, you can answer to that question if you check that this cross rate is different to the market. These 3 rates are the rates from the market. So if this is different to this one, then you answer yes, you can make arbitrage. Because the cross rate is different. Okay. So by that, you will be answering to the answer to the question A, arbitrage. Is it possible to make arbitrage? And you answer yes, because the cross rate is different to the market. Now let's continue with question B. Question B is very important. Question B is, if you can make arbitrage, and we already answered yes, then we need to simulate the strategy where you make profit, right? That would be the second question. And to answer to the second question, you will need to know what is your initial investment. So I will give you $1 million pesos, or looks like 6, but it's 0. Okay, so you have $1 million pesos. So simulate the strategy that you will use to make profit. Well, the first step to do this is to draw or to imagine the 2 strategies that you can make. Since you have 1 million pesos, you will start in Mexico for sure. And then you have 2 options. One option is go to the US, I mean like exchange your pesos to dollars, then from dollars to zloty, and then go back to pesos. That is one strategy. Or you can do the opposite. You can do to Poland and then to the US, and come back to Mexico. That's option, the second option, right? So you might ask me if it is possible to know which way you can take before you can even start, and the answer is yes, you can know. But in the next step, we are going to do triangular arbitrage with bid and ask, and in that case, this doesn't work. So my advice is that don't even bother knowing that way to know where to start. The best thing to do is to choose randomly one of the 2, and then from there you start the strategy. So let's choose this one randomly. We're going to use this strategy where we start in pesos and then we move to the US. And let's see if we can make profit. So let's simulate the strategy step by step. I think we're going to have 3 steps because this is the first step, going to the US, then to Poland, and then finally going back to Mexico. So step number 1 will be buy dollars, okay? So how do you buy dollars? You have 1 million pesos. Oh, looks really bad. 1 million pesos. And you need to use one exchange rate from the market. So which exchange rate will you use? In this case, it will be the peso dollar exchange rate. So 20 pesos over dollar. And then I need to know if I need to multiply or to divide 1 million over 20 or 1 million times 20. How do we know this? How can we know this? Well, if you see the pesos as a fraction, like if you divide it by 1, then you can see that you have pesos on top on both things, on the currency and in the exchange rate. So if you have the same currency on top, then you need to divide, right? Division. It looks really bad, sorry. Division, it's even worse. Divide. So if you divide 1 million over 20, I think it will give you 50,000. So it is so difficult to write in dollars, okay? Then we are done with step number 1. Let's do step number 2, which will be buy Polish zloty. When you buy Polish zloty, you need to use your dollars and exchange them to zloty. So which exchange rate will you use? This one, 4 zloty over dollar. 4 zloty over dollar. If we do the analysis again, if we analyze these two as fractions, we see that we have dollars on top, and then we have dollars at the bottom. That means they are crossed. If the same currency is crossed, to cancel it, you need to multiply, right? Why multiply? Because you have dollars on top and dollars at the bottom. In the previous one, we divided because we had pesos on top and pesos on top. If you multiply pesos times pesos, you get pesos square, and that doesn't exist. So be careful. So $50,000 times 4 equals 200,000 Polish zloty. Right. We are done with step number 3. Let's continue to we are done with step number 2, and let's continue with step number 3, which will be buy pesos. So we have 200,000 Polish zloty. And then we need to convert those zloty to pesos. Which exchange rate are we going to use? Here, be careful, because some people choose the cross rate, and the cross rate is not relevant in here. Once you are done with question number 8, if you can make arbitrage, and you answer yes because the cross rate is different, forget about the cross rate. Only use the market exchange rates. So in this case, it will be 5.1 pesos over zloty. And again, if we see this, we see that we have zloty on top and zloty at the bottom, so we need to multiply. And I think this will give you 1,020,000 pesos. So we were lucky, we got profit in the first try. So let's subtract the initial investment. It's so difficult to write zeros. I can't even write in here. So the difference is 20,000. So in the end, you will have a profit of 20,000 pesos. So just be careful. First, remember that the first thing you need to do to check if you can make arbitrage is to do the cross rate. So if you do a cross rate and you get the same cross rate as in the market, the answer will be no, I can't make arbitrage, and you can stop in there. If you say that it is possible to make arbitrage because the cross rate is different, then answer yes, and the next step will be to simulate the strategy. So while you are simulating the strategy, be aware that you can get the profit strategy or the other one. We don't know. when we start. So don't worry, if you get the losing strategy, don't worry, just do the other one because you will make a profit. That means if you were unlucky and you chose this one, don't worry, just do the other one. In the end, I need to know which one is the correct strategy, or more than the correct, the one that has profit. And then also be very careful when you exchange currencies, like divide and multiply correctly. So when you have the same currency on the top, you need to divide, and when you have them cross, you need to multiply. And finally, don't use the cross rate like in here, like if you have pesos and zloty, don't use 5, which is the cross rate, use 5.1, which is the market. Otherwise, you will get it wrong. So this is a triangular arbitrage when we don't have bid and ask. In the next video, we are going to analyze what is bid and ask and how to deal with it. And we are going to do triangular arbitrage with bid and ask.